Today in 1 Kings chapter 18, verses 30 to 35, we start to see the contrasting response of Elijah versus the behavior of the prophets of Baal. And our verse for the day is verse 30, which says, "Then Elijah said to all the people, 'Come closer to me.' And all the people came closer to him. First he repaired the altar of the Lord that had been thrown down." There's several echoes in verses 30 to 35 of other passages in the Bible. First of all, it's echoing a story we see back in Genesis 35, verse 10, with the building of an altar. And Elijah is prioritizing worship for the people because, just like King Ahab, they have fallen away from worshiping the Lord, the God of Israel. So he's trying to remind them of their roots. And by repairing the altar that had been thrown down, he takes 12 stones to remind the people of the 12 tribes based from the 12 sons of Jacob, and reminding them of, your name is Israel and God's with us. And so why is worship such a priority for God that the very first of the 10 Commandments is, "You shall have no other gods before me"? And it's because God wants our devotion. God wants to have a relationship with us. And a relationship requires commitment. It requires showing up. There's a saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And maybe that's true in some cases. But in other cases, absence makes the heart look elsewhere. And when we fail to make worship a priority in our own lives, this is what can happen with our relationship with God. Our heart very quickly will look elsewhere and fill our devotion and affection and time with someone or something else other than the worship of God. And Elijah is trying to remind the people how important it is that worship is a priority. It's where we come together as the people of God, and I know that some of us do that in person, which is wonderful. Some of you are participating in worship online, and we're grateful we can provide that service and that way of being engaged. But worship is something that we do together with the people of God, and it's also something that we do every day, even with little devotions like this. Having some quiet time, listening to Christian music, maybe journaling and expressing thanks to God during the day. There's so many different ways that we can worship, because indeed our whole life is to be an act of worship, as we hear from Paul in Romans chapter 12. So here in 1 Kings 18, Elijah is asking the people to come closer to him because he wants them to come closer to God. I hope today that you will hear this invitation from Elijah and hear it as God speaking to you. Come closer to me and open your heart in worship.